Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of 4K Garage. This episode is part 2 of a look through the LS3 engine I have. In part 1, we just had a little peek into the engine and cleaned it up. Then we ran into an issue. The engine wouldn't turn over by hand anymore. So in part 2, we're going to take off the heads, find out why it's not turning over, and also talk about some new parts I've just ordered for it. So stay tuned and enjoy. Right, so as I mentioned last time, got a bit of an issue with the LS, which requires some emergency work on it. And we've got to take the heads off. The reason for that is simple. It gets stuck, it won't turn over fully. Now I can wind it all the way back and it gets to roughly the same point and it gets stuck again. So I feel like something's in there just blocking piston, maybe blocking chain. So let's go ahead and start taking it apart. Then get a little bit of help on this, not that it really needs much help, but my dad's been looking forward to tearing into this, so he's going to come around and give me a little hand of it. So I'm going to stick you guys up, probably on the shelf there, and just put it on time lapse so you guys can watch.
No one else sees. In the underground, we're living low key. Can give you peace here in your mind. And as I found no place in the dead of night to come alive. Life is waiting on the other side. Follow me into the underground. Watch the world changing as the sun goes down. Follow me into the underground. Follow me into the underground. Follow me into the diamonds in the sky, shades of pearl and green. Fire burning hearts in darkest places. There's never been a better time to feel alive. I found no way, we're past the lines where truth won't lie. Life is waiting on the other side. Follow me into the underground. Watch the world changing as the sun goes down. Follow me into the underground. Whoa, follow me into the underground. Follow me into the underground.
Right, so as you just saw, me and my dad disassembled the engine, took all the heads off, and, well, a few other pieces, which I'll get onto. The engine is just generally quite sludgy. I've already taken one of the pistons out there, hence, see right down there. And this probably just means it's in quite good condition, I would say. The bores themselves, that's just a bit of grime there, but the bores themselves are generally pretty free from any scoring or any real damage. But the engine probably didn't have a lot of oil changes in its lifetime. Now, if we go back over towards the heads here, as you can see, there's just loads of build-up of this really sludgy, carbony oil. Of course, it's sat around for a while. I've turned it over a little bit. But all of this is just build-up. It can all be cleaned off, can all be refreshed nicely. And of course, the main question is whether we fix the issue of the engine not turning over. Now, I can tell you that we did indeed. As you can see, the engine turns over absolutely no problem, all the way around, multiple times. And of course that begs the question, what was causing the seizing? And here is the culprit. This is the oil pump. Now in here, there's a couple of gears. I've actually taken them out of here, so it's pretty much empty. But unfortunately, this sits on a crank, and the crank drives the oil pump, and of course that's what pumps oil around the engine. Now, the oil pump wasn't dry. As you can see, it's all got plenty of oil everywhere in this engine still. And it wasn't particularly seized with any kind of really big chunks of any dirt. Wasn't any horribleness that had sucked up in a previous life or something. But the gears inside the oil pump were simply kind of stuck together. And we managed to free them up when we got it all apart like this. But, I mean, they've since stuck together again. So I think that's well and truly dead. But that's absolutely fine. I've already planned to replace the oil pump. Just thought, you know, peace of mind, let's get that replaced. And that leads me onto what the plans are of the engine. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put this engine back together as it is, all this sludgy horribleness. What I'm going to be doing is I've bought an absolutely metric ton of degreaser and brake cleaner. I think 130 litres in total. So, a bit overkill, might last me a lifetime, but it is what it is. And my plans for kind of an engine refresh is to take out all these pistons, once I've checked a few clearances, bearing clearances and so on. Probably buy OEM bearings, or if I need to get ever so slightly oversized ones, I'll do that. Give these bores a good hone, re-ring the pistons, put it back together. That's just a general kind of very light rebuild, I would say. Not going to be touching the crank, don't want to mess around with the crank bearings, don't want to mess around with the thrust of the crank. But what I am going to be replacing is, of course, the cam. Give it a nice big gnarly cam, get it some nice lumpy V8 noises, a boost of power as well as the LSs are known. And of course, going to be replacing this timing cover, going to be replacing the timing chain and all the guides and all that. The sump's going to go, because I need a new sump to fit it into the 8.6. Get these lifter guides out, get the lifters that are buried down here, get those out, replace those with just some nice new LS7 ones. Don't think there's anything problem with these ones. I know that this is what is known as Gen 4 LS, and the lifters in these are the revised design already, and they're pretty good, but why not replace them? And coming back over to the heads, of course, got our rocker arms, going to be putting the trunnion upgrade. So these are little trunnions, and in there is some needle bearings, and there's nothing holding these needle bearings together. And often what can happen at high revs or high power is these can kind of come apart and all the needle bearings roam free inside your engine and utterly decimate it. I'll show you what I mean when I start to get these apart. You'll just see them explode all over the place the second that they come apart. Yeah, so going to be doing that. It's a well-known upgrade for these engines, and probably the biggest, weakest point of a kind of a high power build. Going to be doing head gaskets, of course. We're keeping the valves as they are, but simply cleaning all this up, relapping them, so that's no problem. New valve springs, of course, to deal with the higher lift of the new cam. Going to be replacing the push rods. Here's the old one. Going to be replacing these with some hardened chromoly ones, so that's good. Old head gasket. As you can see, they're actually very, very good. They're multi-layer steel. And that's basically the plan for this whole engine build. It's going to take quite a bit of time. Going to be lots of little parts to buy. Going to be replacing like front main seals, rear main seals. Going to have to get a whole new water pump set up, the alternator, all the accessories that go on the front here, new drive pulley, of course. Everything's going to be end up getting replaced, with the exception of the crank bearings, and the cam bearings. That's pretty much it. Now, the really exciting bit. Some of it's already arrived. Let's dive into some of these boxes. So here is CHE trunnion bearing kit. Got your nice little trunnions there, and those horrible needle bearings get replaced by these lovely brass bearings, and they all get held in by these little circlips. Got to make sure not to lose any of those. Once these are all fitted, I mean, the engine then is safe from any kind of horrible little needle bearings bursting into it, and should be fairly reliable all the way up through the rev range, kind of any power level. I mean, these are a good bit of kit. Further to that, we got the brand new GM high performance oil pump. As you can see in there, they're the gears that I've talked about. That goes on the crank, and that's what's seized up. But this is a supposedly high performance brand new OEM part from GM, so that should be good to go. Hardened push rods. Not much of them, they're just a hardened steel rod. There's the length of them, as you can see. We'll need final two pieces. We've got our lovely 660 lift dual valve springs. All of those got some nice titanium retainers. Texas Speed's pretty cool one-piece seal and seat, so that should be nice and easy to fit. Now here it is, the cam. I'm not going to get it out of this packaging just because it probably keeps it nice and rust-free in there. But this is Texas Speed's LS3 Stage 3 normally aspirated cam. And we've got some specs here. Probably doesn't mean a lot to a few people, but essentially all you need to know, it has higher intake lift and higher exhaust lift, and it's going to give a decent amount of power. It's often estimated it's probably going to be at least 50 extra horsepower, but I'm not really looking for loads and loads of power. It's generally just a case of why not? A bit more power. It's so easy to make, and it just gives it that nice V8 grumble. Just brings the potential of the engine out, really. So, you know, you've got these fantastic heads here. The L92 heads are considered some of the best OEM heads for the LS3 platform. So why not give it a little bit more room to breathe with a nice cam? And generally, as far as power adders go, of course, it's not really an actual power, it's no forced induction, but bang for your buck. Like I say, at least 50 horsepower, and I think the cam was like $600. When it comes to adding power to these engines, it's just so cheap and so easy up to a point, but you know, why not get to that point? So you have it, guys. Probably a little bit of a waffly one, but loads of exciting things happening, and plenty to go on, plenty to happen, so gonna have to start getting cracking over the winter. Should give you plenty of videos to watch. Perhaps a little bit slow, but you know, like I say, it's just going to be kind of dragging out in a way to get to the point where I can start putting this engine in the car. So you're going to be brought along for every step of the way. Everything from taking the rest of the engine apart, measuring the bearing clearances, cleaning up the pistons, re-ringing them, putting new bearings in, putting the cam in, deleting the VVT, everything. So I hope you're all looking forward to that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, please give the video a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel if you're excited to see more. And I think next time, I'm going to start cleaning up this block a little bit more. But until then, hope you guys have a good one, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.